We're back, guys. Part 2.
So a lot of my followers know that the center of the flat Earth plane is the Holy Grail. It's always depicted as being in the center of a round, flat table, and this is absolutely no coincidence. And the Holy Grail was the chalice that Jesus drank from during the Last Supper. So Jesus, he's always depicted with a sun around him because Jesus is an allegory for the sun. So we are actually the sun because the sun is the collective consciousness that is taking the aurora borealis, what that imprints in the ether. The sun is a gateway, a portal, and if you can imagine, it's interdimensionally sucking up all of that green energy and coming down in the form of sunlight. And so Jesus drinks from the Holy Grail means he spirals in and out during the solstice. So the sun actually goes into the center hole, briefly, what the Babylonians called Bab Elam, or the gate of God, and he comes back out. And so this is during the winter solstice, and the sun during the winter solstice resides over the cross of Crux. And so this is exactly what Jesus being crucified, that's what it means. And the Christ is also an allegory for us because we are the sun. And that's exactly why when we sun gaze, we are absolutely receiving divine knowledge from our higher selves, because that's indeed who is shining down on us. Now, our compasses effortlessly point north, always. And if you believe you live on a globe, well, that means that when you go in the southern hemisphere, the South Pole would be dragging your needle south because there's 2 magnetic poles. But the reason it's consistently attracted to the north polarity is because there's a mountain called Mount Meru, and that looks like a Holy Grail, right?
Yeah.
No coincidences. That's it's an ancient Japanese artwork from the 1400s. It's crazy. I feel like I'm nothing special. I can't believe other people haven't really decoded this. And so here's another depiction of Mount Meru. You have a bullseye. You have the feminine triangle pointing downward because the black sun is the feminine womb of creation. And then this is the seal, which is very popular in the Rosicrucian school of thought. You see the Grail. It's catching the light from the sun and the moon. And then here is the black sun. Now, on the outer rim, you have a Latin phrase which actually translates as, "Go into the interior of the earth, and there you shall rectify the hidden stone." And same thing here, on the outer rim, go to the interior of the earth, and thou shalt rectify the hidden stone. It's crazy because if you do a Google search of this phrase, which is the acronym vitriol, there's people who are saying it means go into the interior of your mind, or anything but its literal meaning. And so I just can't believe that nobody has pieced together that the Holy Grail is right there, and once you drink from the Holy Grail, you shall find the hidden mystery, which is indeed Hyperboreal. And I've said this over and over again, but hyper is a prefix meaning beyond, and borea refers to the aurora borealis. Now, Boreas is the Greek god of the north wind. And the Greek god of the north wind is the Greek analog to the demiurge. So this means also not only are you going beyond the aurora borealis, but you're going beyond the reach of the demiurge. So the demiurge hyper binds everything on this side of the fence by time. So we are essentially slaves to time right now, and that's why the demiurge is the same thing as Cronus or Saturn or Satan. Same thing over and over again. And that's why Father Time and Saturn is always shown with sight. The Grim Reaper is also always shown with sight. Excuse my fumbling. I'm just kind of excited. So we're going to never again be caught by what we know as the Saturn moon matrix after we go into Hyperborea, because that is an AI machine which the demiurge perpetuates, and we're going beyond boring.
Excellent. Yeah. And we had a question about the Saturn moon matrix, because a lot of people are really concerned about the moon. The moon, they think it's a really kind of mysterious item that's randomly there. And people want to know if the moon is a see-through gas, if it's a solid, what its crater's like, and how it correlates into the Saturn moon matrix. Can you kind of elaborate on that?
You can't go on the moon. You can't visit the moon ever because it's a hologram. But when I say hologram, I don't literally mean it's being projected up there as a sort of Hollywood charade. Me and you are holograms. We're interdimensional holograms, and based on our thoughts, intentions, our diet, our belief structures, this hologram can change and operate way differently. And so the moon is an organic hologram that's operated by an inorganic group of entities. So I know that's sort of confusing. The moon basically does the bidding of Gaia. So the moon at one point was not a malevolent entity. It actually helped in the same way that stars help us, because stars are really just revolving aspects of guidance. That's what astrology is. The planets move and they help us with ourselves. And the stars are sonoluminescent lights coming from the black sun. And like I said, we are aspects of the black sun. So those stars are aspects of us. So astrology is us helping us. It's very trippy, I know. But yeah, those are not craters on the moon. In fact, on a blue sky day, you can see through the moon, through those craters. You can see the sky. There's many instances where you can see stars behind the moon. It's definitely not a solid thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's pretty obvious now, isn't it? So we won't go back to thinking it's going to be solid.
Right. And NASA means to deceive. So the moon landing was a hoax, and so is all their other CGI photos.
It's funny because the most hilarious proof globe earthers try to tell me is that, well, look up at the stars. Those things are round. Those things are seemingly spherical. Doesn't that mean we're spherical? But those things have no relation to the shape of this place we're living on. And in fact, you guys have seen the videos. Those stars are nothing but a bunch of moving lights. They're definitely not spherical.
Yeah.
Right.
They look nothing like what NASA shows us. You know, if you have a Nikon P900, you can really zoom into them, and they're just like dancing, morphing balls of light. People should look this up. Looks amazing.
And in the beginning, I'm not sure about this. This is a tricky one. Wasn't the sun and the moon both to be on fire, and the moon didn't become ignited, or was the moon just set there to do its own job, and then later became taken over with the evil, virus and matrix on the side?
Well, the moon is organic, so it unfolded from the black sun. Now, we're living in one timeline of Earth, and this is hard for a lot of people to digest, but time isn't linear like we think it is. There's a lot of implanted history and a lot of centuries and eras that never actually happened, but were implanted into the collective consciousness via very complex time merging technology. And there are those, which I explored in my video on menstrual blood, there are those who have recorded there was a time when Earth did not have a moon. And what's difficult is that because there's been so many overlapping timelines and so many events that were either fabricated or implanted, history is a very tough thing to try to digest. So I can't even be certain that the moon was implanted or if it developed initially at the form of Sophia's creation through the black sun. And both are probably true. But
yeah, it's a complex answer.
Right, but it was hijacked at some point, and now it's being used for malevolent purposes. So you die, and there's a big light at the end of the tunnel, and it's so entrancing, and you walk into it because you believe it's godlike, or you'll see beings who look like your family members who have died, and they're trying to lure you in. This is all manipulation, because it's not like when you die. A lot of people believe when you die, you instantly get imparted with all of your soul memories and the essence of who you are. But if you haven't developed yourself on this earthly plane, you're going to die and essentially still be connected to the same patterns as you were on Earth. So many people, they die in a hospital of a debilitating disease. They haven't expanded their consciousness much, and they see a light at the end of the tunnel, and they see their body underneath, and they assume this is what I'm supposed to do. This is the natural order of things. When in reality, you have to go inwards to your heart. And so imagine blackness, because you want to return through the black sun. Imagine blackness, go inwards into your heart, and think yourself away from the light. And I don't mean in my videos to make it seem like we're doomed and helpless to the false light trap. We're definitely not, but we have free will. And so it can only suck you in if you have been conned. If you haven't, there's no magnetic pulling, and there's no forcefulness in that mechanism. So my advice for people who are watching this, if you don't want to spill your blood over your intent, if you still want to pursue lots of worldly dreams on this side of the fence, that's fine. You can still get out of the matrix. Just when you die, go inward to your heart, imagine darkness, and think, take me back to source.
Absolutely.
It's a very good piece of advice for everyone who happens to watch this video and hasn't done Blood or Intent and managed to get to the vortex in time. So, yeah, thanks for that.
I think, too, a good question is, a lot of people are confused if the 144,000, if this was destiny and this is our job and journey and goal is to bring forth heaven on earth, or if it's first come, first serve, the people to kind of snap into it and go back to a body on the other side.
Well, the fact is, a lot of people don't like to hear it, but there are 144,000 beings with true souls on this planet. Now, a lot of people don't like to hear that, but essentially, most of the beings you encounter day to day are either non-human entities or soulless beings. And the non-human entities are what we know as reptilian humanoids. There's also insect. I'm not going to go into all of the non-human entities because it really doesn't matter. But the soulless ones are programs that are running within this matrix. And so these are AI, if you can imagine interdimensional computer chips that have plugged into empty vessels without souls. And these beings are here to deceive the 144,000 and lead them astray. So Quartz Crystal actually talks about this, that the children in Africa and all of the dying animals we see in locked up cages, these beings do not actually have souls from source. They are programmed, and they are indeed meant to make us feel a certain way. But we can do two things with those feelings. So if we see horrible things going on around us, we can either react and give into fear, which actually powered these interdimensional energy banks even more, or we can take these things as learning tools and rise above it. And so essentially, to answer your question, it's not first come, first served, because there truly are only 144,000 beings who could go back to source. And if a non-human entity wants to come with, or if a soulless being wants to try to jump in, then they're more than welcome to, and they will be able to stay in Agartha. But the point is, once we're in Inner Earth, we're not going to be ejected from this matrix. Once we're in Inner Earth, we can choose to exit through the Black Sun. And so I get a lot of people asking, well, being immortal, what's the fun in that? You're just going to live forever? Well, the fact is, when you're in Agartha, you will be immortal, but at any time, you can choose to leave the entire matrix through the Black Sun and create worlds of your own, or ascend back to the original emanations of Sophia. I also just want to clarify on the word matrix. I say matrix and energy extraction matrix as two separate things. So the matrix is this entire holographic simulation that we're in. Agartha is a part of the matrix. As long as we're encased in any sort of physical or etheric existence, we're in the matrix. We're in the computer. But the energy extraction matrix is a program that is set up within the matrix on this side of flat Earth, and it's parasitic, and it aims to basically drown out our divine spark, so we will never be able to get back to source. And it seems like it's backfiring, huh? Because we found our exit hole.
That's right. True. It's game over for the energy extraction matrix.
Yeah. I love that answer, because I think it is destiny. I think the 144,000 really feel it in their heart. You know, you just feel that essence around you, and you know that you're one of them. So I think that was well put.
And I'm aware there's a lot of cults and religious organizations who have used the 144,000 number for ill will. So I've I've gotten recent comments that said, well, you're just like the Jehovah's Witness or Heaven's Gate, and all of these groups were telling their followers, you're one of the 144,000. But the difference is we're doing this for the benefit of all. And we're not hiding anything. All of our blood brothers are connected by our blood, and we're making this a reality. So I'm not feeding you any information I wouldn't feed my dog.
Right.
Makes sense.
I agree, though. It's definitely a pull at the heart, and we can intellectualize it all we want. You know, we can pull up ancient maps of Mount Meru with the 4 rivers of Eden. We can talk about Mount Meru in ancient cosmology. But if I'm perfectly honest, it doesn't really matter. All we need to do, go north. And as soon as I say that, if you're one of the 144,000 people, you feel it.
Yep, so true. And your blood is the most powerful substance in the universe. And when you do spill it for the right intentions and the right will, the powers of the universe get behind you to show for you and guide you and lead you in the right way. And yes, your blood can be put in a negative way or a positive way. It just depends what intent you put on that. And basically, this is a beautiful tranquility, peaceful intent to bring forth heaven on earth for the benefit of all. It's a selfless act. So a lot of people get it twisted of blood is bad or good. Yes, it is both. It just depends what you intend to do about it.
100%.
Yeah.
And like I keep telling people, don't spill your blood over your intent unless you resonate with it. If you don't, that's fine. I'm not calling you names. I'm not calling you inadequate. You're simply, at the moment, not one of the 144,000 people. That's not to put me down. We all have our own spirit journeys, and this is ours. So I choose to just remain calm and sincere with everyone because, yeah, we have this mission. It's our mission.
Right. It's kind of like that thing you posted on your channel the other day, that video, that little clip you posted at the end of you're living in a video game right now. Your goal is to wake up and figure out you got to make it to the center of the dish before you die. And your enemy is everybody else that's not the 144,000 is going to try to trick you. You know, it's true. It is like that. It is like a video game. Like at some time, if you're the 144,000, you will wake up. It might not be today or tomorrow, but eventually you will.
Absolutely. And what a lot of people don't realize is behind the scenes, there's amazingly advanced technology that is essentially using a hive mind computer system, a supercomputer that is able to replicate a person's consciousness and cover up their true consciousness and make it seem as though it's your own. And so this is in part what the archons are. And so a lot of these enemies you're talking about, they are simply beings who are now under the control of a hive mind supercomputer. And it's not like you can go up to them and say, are you one of them? Because they don't even know, because their consciousness has been essentially holographically cloned. And so this is indeed why when you try to awaken family members or close friends who just aren't having it, a lot of them will lash out, get aggressive, lots of cognitive dissonance. And this oftentimes is this AI program running through them, because the more people who wake up, the bigger threat we are to the energy extraction matrix. And this supercomputer hive mind is indeed the sustenance of what we call reptilian humanoids, because they do not have the same essence as we do. I'm not going to theorize what type of essence they have. You can call it evil, but we have free will. They have to plug themselves into a hive mind system. And so that's why they're dependent on our negativity, on siphoning the energy from our lower three chakras. When we're obsessed with sex and desire and we're all reckless, and they store that energy, and it's not a malevolent thing. I choose to see it as a desperate mechanism, because without us, there's no them.
Right. And when you spill your blood, you kind of become overpowerful for them, and they kind of fear you now, right? Because they can't really manipulate you anymore.
They can't. And a lot of people I've talked to who spill their blood, pretty soon afterwards, they start to have some archonic activity going on. And some people believe they're being attacked, but I try to tell them, you're actually purging, because you've alchemicalized this intent with your blood. You can't take it back. Okay? The only way to take it back would be to burn it, or to override it with a contrary intent. And so a lot of people, when they initially spill their blood, you might go through some strange archonic activity, but I just want to assure you, this isn't because you've done something wrong. It's because it's a simple purge. And once they're gone, they're gone. I'm in contact with a lot of blood brothers, and everyone, they're either 80% immune to these archonic attacks, or they're better able to identify when they're happening.
Yeah. Yeah, a good way if you're having one is probably not to entertain the thoughts, but it's just like when you're detoxing your body, and it's going to hurt for a while, but once they're gone, you're a stronger you.
Exactly. When you're detoxing your body, I read this the other day, totally made sense, because I'm actually in perpetual detox. Your body, when it's detoxing, goes through all of the bullshit you put it through up until that point. And so you re-experience all of that sort of darkness. So the same thing happens when you start to cleanse your mind and raise your vibrations. You have to experience those demons in order to release them. Because another part is these archons are actually you. Because they came through the black sun. Like I've been saying, you are the black sun. We are all aspects of Sophia. There's no separation.
Good point.
Makes a lot of sense the way you put it. You know, it's almost like these archons, they sense that you are detaching yourself or unplugging from the energy extraction matrix by doing the blood of intent.
They can.
Yeah, when your vibrational frequency is so heightened, you kind of are the light in the room. You definitely stand out to them, and they don't like that. Their main purpose, they thrive on manipulation and deception. So once you're awake, you're totally kind of like got this almost bubble with a shield that they can't get around you.
You do. And it's, again, I just want to stress, I really don't want people to take away that you have to be afraid of these mind parasites or these reptilian entities. They are literally dependent off of us. They're pathetic beings who have totally disconnected from source. And they want us to do the same thing because that means they will have an unlimited amount of supply. And to an extent, there is a point of no return. Let's say none of the 144,000 people woke up and we gave into transhumanism and just swallowed all of this propaganda. We eventually could be as far away from source to where we become them.
Right. Yeah, and everybody that's scared of this stuff and fear, that just gives them more energy to feed on. So you kind of got to stand up. The power's inside of you and let them know that you have free will of your own life, and that'll stop all that negativity.
Yeah, we're not about to let it happen.
Right.
And when you protest, because protesting is what the system has told you to do when you're trying to be a sovereign individual. But all protesting is begging. You're begging your slave masters to change slave conditions. And we're still stuck in the masculine aspect of consciousness. So a lot of people believe they have to do to gain results. But you have to be before you do, because doing without being is just reckless. So really the best thing anybody can do right now to help this evil that's run amok is be with yourself. Purge your own negativity, have fun, express yourself, and just live.
I tell people that too. We're only going to be here 2 more years, and you might as well have fun. Don't let the Matrix take over you. Take over the Matrix.
I like it.
Yeah.
A good rule to live by.
So
Absolutely.
I do have to get going, guys, but I really appreciate the talk and the friendship.
Yeah, it was a great talk, and good seeing you.
Awesome talk, man. Thanks for all the great information. I'm sure everyone will appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Sure.
All right, man. Take care.
Okay.
I love you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, you too, man. See ya.